Hi book friends, I'm Erin, and this is Erin Go Read. It's time for my Victober TBR. This year is the 3rd or 4th year I'm participating in Victober. I don't think I had read any Victorian literature until Victober came to my consciousness, to my awareness, and it's opened my eyes to a whole area of literature that I probably would have been intimidated to get into before. And I even read some outside of October. I even read some Victorian literature outside of October. Who would have thought? Actually, this year the group read is The Mayor of Casterbridge by Thomas Hardy, and I actually read that earlier this year. So there are 5 hosts this year: Kate, Katie, Roz, Marissa, and Petra. I will link all of their channels below, and I am going to try to satisfy all of the prompts this year. In order to participate in Victober, all you have to do is read some Victorian literature of any kind. So I will definitely read Victorian literature, and we'll see if I can actually satisfy all 5 of the prompts. Kate's prompt is to read a book with disability or chronic illness representation, and I have a couple books for that. I have Wilkie Collins' The Woman in White. I really don't know anything about this, so let's read the quick blurb on the back here. On a moonlit road in Hampstead, Walter Hartwright is accosted by a stranger dressed from head to toe in white. She asks the way to London, and no sooner has Walter directed her than he is overtaken by a carriage in pursuit of the mysterious woman who has evidently escaped from an asylum. From this single incident, Walter unwinds a thrilling story of abduction, madness, false identity, and shameful family secrets. I believe this would also be my first sensation novel. Also representing the disability chronic illness rep is going to be Elizabeth Barton's Mary Braddon. And I'm just going to read the really quick part of the blurb here. Set in Manchester at the start of the hungry 40s, Mary Barton is a sympathetic, truthful portrayal of ordinary people struggling with rapid social change in overcrowded cities. So there is Mary Barton. So these 2 are decently chunky each. Then Katie's prompt is for a coming-of-age story, and I have Wives and Daughters by Elizabeth Gaskell. This will be the second time I've read this. I read North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell over the summer with my in real life book club, and this will be my second time reading Wives and Daughters. Did I just say that? I think I did. And I do plan to listen to this on audiobook. Roz's prompt is to read any sort of Victorian poetry. Poetry is not really my thing, but given that I want to expand my horizons and satisfy all of the prompts this year, I think I can manage a poem or 2. So I'm going to look into the poetry of Edward Lear, which I think is going to be much more kind of whimsical and light. And then I would also like to read The Goblin Market by Christina Rosetti. I think I actually did read this because I think the 2nd or 3rd of the Shauna Maguire, Every Heart a Doorway is the first book. I'm not sure what the Wayward Children, is that the name of that series? I read one of those books, and it had to do with the Goblin Market, and so I believe I read that poem, but I would like to reread that. Then we have Marissa's prompt, which is a Victorian short story, and for that I will be reading, what's it called? Mr. Harrison's Confessions, which is in the Cranford Chronicles. So the novella, I guess, of Cranford is in here, and then what is it called? Mr. Harrison's Confessions is, I think, about 87 pages. So it's a long short story. And then there's a third one, My Lady Ludlow. So I believe those 3 short stories, or 2 short stories and a novella, make up the Cranford Chronicles, which I think is what the mini-series is actually based on, like all of these. And I actually found this amazing vintage red spine copy in a little free library. Woo! Knocking over books. And finally, Petra's prompt is to read a book and watch the screen adaptation. And for that, I think I'm going to finally get to Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. This has been on my Victober TBR probably every year since 2018, I think, was when I first kind of discovered BookTube. That would probably make this my 4th year. And yeah, I have never gotten around to Frankenstein. And I want to watch the 1994 adaptation with Kenneth Branaugh, Robert DeNiro, and Helena Bonham Carter. That sounds like an amazing cast. And so I think that would be a good book to film adaptation. Then I just have a couple others that I am interested in reading. I'm not kidding myself. I don't think I'm actually gonna get to all of these. I also plan on reading some other things in the month of October. We'll see. This is a pile of possibilities, so we'll see how many of these I actually get to, but I have a couple others on my mind that I would like to get to. The first being Lady Audley's Secret by Mary Elizabeth Braddon. I can't remember if this was on the list for maybe satisfying disability and chronic illness rep, or I don't think it's a coming of age. I'm pretty sure this is just like a sensation novel. So there's that one. I'm trying not to knock over the stack of books here. And then finally I have Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. Never read it. I did read, I believe as a kid, I had the Great Illustrated Classics abridged version of this. The only thing I remember from that was the kid eating the apple on the ship. Couldn't tell you anything about the story, so hopefully a month from now I'll have a much better idea of what this story is about. So these beautiful 7 books are my pile of possibilities for Victober. Will I satisfy all 5 of the prompts? We'll see. I'd love to know if you are participating in Victober and what are you reading? Have you read any of these? Let's talk about it in the comments. Thank you for watching. See you around the tubes.